Did you watch? Did you listen to the thing, Lydia?
I mean, the video that you had posted.
Audio.
Oh yeah, the white people are savages. I've been saying that for a minute. But then again, this is a native loving household, right? Like that's our dual minority in the house. So I've been really close to some of the pain that I see my brother experience on the daily as racism gets brought up as a native gay man living in America. The oppression is real, and coming from the fact that he grew up in North Dakota on the res, like there's a purview of life that like white people don't know fuck all about.
So true.
You know, that's not even like white people think they know about black culture because of pop culture. But nobody's out there representing like native pride. Nobody's out there representing any sort of native culture in the limelight. So natives unfortunately get kind of the fuzzy end of the lollipop like every single time.
So basically, they've been erased. They've been erased by white people because a lot of white people think that America was just founded by white people.
Right.
They don't understand that there were indigenous people here.
Exactly. You know, on this Your Fault for Listening Sunday, which will turn into some type of Your Fault for Watching on our YouTube channel. Welcome to the show, Carmela and Her Wholeness. Welcome. I'm the big funny Travis Simmons. We are live.
Yeah.
Somebody just popped in.
Yes. Hello,
Hey,
hello.
This
is Leah / psycholinguist. Hello, everyone. Happy Easter.
Hey, happy Easter. Happy Esther.
Happy Easter. Today is a great day to get stoned and nailed. That's what Jesus Christ did.
I think you got to flip flop that. You got to get nailed before you get stoned if you're going to copy His holiness.
Good Friday's the day to get nailed, and
Good
Friday the day to get high.
Good Friday is the day. But how is it good though if he got nailed on this day to the cross through his flesh and bones? Why is it
good for somebody for that to happen?
Yeah, you remember Jesus did hang out with a bunch.
Why do we call it good though? Like, what's good about it?
Oh, because He died for your sins ahead of time.
Thank you for the explanation.
I think there's something about how like the faithful knew that he would rise again, and there's some excerpt about that being part of the Good Friday explanation. But I only banged Catholics. I never actually like got into Catholicism.
So who is participating in the show today?
Right now, it's you, me, Carmela, and Lydia.
Travis, Big Funny. There is Lydia from Greenwood, Washington.
It's okay. It's Her Wholeness. I've worked that title. I'm comfortable with it.
What is the title?
Her Wholeness.
Her Wholeness. That is awesome. And then Travis is Washington State as well, and I am in North Seattle. And then who do we have? Do we have Carmela?
Yes.
Hi, Carmela.
Hi.
Does Carmela have the title or the pseudonym or nickname?
It was something vegan, something. What was it?
You called me vegan lemon cheese.
Vegan lemon cheese.
Vegan what?
He called me vegan lemon cheese.
That's pretty good. And Carmela, where are you?
I'm in Philadelphia.
Oh, Philadelphia. Yes, we talked. Philadelphia. Cool. What part of Philadelphia?
I'm in South Philly.
South Philly. Yeah, I've been there several times because my ex-mother-in-law lives there. So we used to visit her a lot, and I spent several months live there once. It's a pretty cool place.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. Very different from New York, where I'm originally from.
How is different from New York?
So even though Philly's like what the fifth major city, it's definitely got like a small town vibe to it, and a lot more people in your business where you could kind of hide and be like nondescript in New York.
Uh-huh. It's very historic. I've been to this Liberty Bell Memorial, then Betsy Rose house, and the steps of the art museum where Sylvester Stallone was running up in Rocky, right?
Yeah.
A bunch of other.
It's definitely got a lot of historical places, and I actually forgot that Trading Places was filmed here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was watching it a few weeks ago, and I'm like, I totally forgot it was filmed here.
Cool.
A lot of cool murals and stuff too. I used to live in Philly. I was about 3 blocks away from where American Bandstand was founded, called the Enterprise Center of all names. And it's now this really cool like nonprofit that helps out a lot of folks like trying to get into small business, especially around the culinary world. And they do a lot to help Black and brown folks. So it's cool being there. And then a couple of blocks from there is like Paul Robeson's house.
Paul Robeson's house?
Yep. Yeah, Paul Robeson lived in Philly for a bit.
Really?
He died.
Where he died. Well, for those of you who don't know who Paul Robeson is, Paul Robeson, the easiest way for you to know who he is, James Earl Jones is copying Paul Robeson's voice. Paul Robeson is King Kong. Paul Robeson is was the Negro or gorilla or big giant monkey that was selling out Broadway. That's what King Kong is a reference to.
Well, he was a musician, a great musician who sang and played what instrument? Like a
Voice. Old Man
He was
River.
an opera
That
singer
old
too.
man river, he don't say nothing.
uh-huh.
Welcome to
And,
the show, Grace Ho.
and Travis, I'm very familiar with Paul Robeson because, well, I grew up in the former Soviet Union, and he was very popular there because he was into communists, and he visited Russia, the Soviet Union, and there's like films about him and him singing there and pictures, right? Do you know about that?
Yes, Paul
Because
Robeson went around the world learning the poor people's songs. He did it in Ireland. He did it in Russia. Um, and
he was in Egypt. There is a picture of him and his wife in Egypt in front of the pyramids, and he's serenading his wife in front of the Egyptian pyramids.
there's a picture of Louis Armstrong in front of the pyramids with his wife.
Oh, then I messed up.
No. Okay.
Either way, that's a pretty good one. I'm just going to chime in.
Sure.
Serenading someone in front of the wonders of the world sounds pretty epic.
Yes, it's a wonderful, very romantic picture, like black and white. But the thing is, I think about Paul Robeson, I have read about him that he was unhappy with the United States because of the racism and the discrimination, and he admired the Soviets. And that's why he went to Russia. He was actually, because they were talking about the equality.
His exact words was, he said, in the Soviet Union for the first time, I felt like a human being. That's what he said.
It's very interesting because there were no black people in the Soviet Union. Everyone was white, but we discriminated each other. For example, I come from the Soviet Union, and we were darker than Russians because we're my place of my origin, Georgia, and Georgia in your mind, is in the south. So we're darker, just like Spanish, Greeks, Italians, we're darker than our northern neighbors. We're not like mostly blonde, blue-eyed, but Russians, they're blonde, blue-eyed. So we were discriminated against, and we were called black and black ass. I swear. Yes, it was. Well, why I call myself Black Caucasian is that the area where my country, Georgia, is located is called Caucasus region, Caucasia, Caucasus Mountains. It was called Caucasia for 1,000 years before even we were divided into races. So, but the oldest white human skulls were found in Georgia, and they call this race Caucasian race. So it's like so funny. Like we're supposed to be the original Caucasians, original white people, but we were discriminated against and were called black ass. So I know. So that's how I am a black Caucasian. I'm Caucasian, but same time the original Caucasian, but same time black. So my point is that there is discrimination and racism everywhere in the world, and it's very primitive and uneducated. And people have need to discriminate each other in order to uh, make themselves believe that they're better somehow. And like it's so primitive to discriminate each other by the color of your skin, which is just because wherever you grew up and your ancestors grew up, the sun was on this angle. That's that primitive. So, well, unfortunately, that's the fact. What I wanted to say that Steve wants to join us. So if Travis, Steve,
Always,
our friend, yes,
always, anytime.
yes. So if he will be calling, let's pay attention. So that's what all I wanted to tell you for now.
Oh, really? Well,
About black
but wait,
Caucasian.
wait a second. Would
So
you
I'm
would you
black
just
but Caucasian same time. So whoever feels that way that they're black but white same time should
right?
join.
Okay.
Hold up.
Would you say? Would you just please, like 3 or 4 times in a row, just say black ass?
I did. You know, well, you had black face, we had black ass. Hello.
No,
How did it?
we
How did they say it to you when they were really saying it to you like nasty? How did they say it to you?
So you know what? Let's not concentrate on this.
No, I know. Like, did they say?
Let's move on.
Like, did they say like sit your black ass down? You know, I mean, how did they? You know, how would it? Okay,
No, they just mentioned that way. You know, like when you would travel to Russia, to a neighbor country, and that's how they would talk about us. So I personally was not called that ever, luckily. Otherwise, I would be in a fist fight. Yes, I mean it's probably the same like in this country, like N-word. Close because you don't want to be called that because that means I'm discriminating against you and calling you some nasty word that I made up to show you I'm somehow better and whiter, which is like a total bullshit. So like what I wanted to tell you that's like this huge problem. I believe that the problem in America of racism is much more painful than where I come from because we were separate country and we were discriminated by the neighbors when we were one country, kind of. But we still have our own identity. It's kind of like neighbor discrimination. In America, it's like discriminating your own people. So that's just
You're right. You're absolutely right about that. James Baldwin would say something like, "If you look at me, I'm clearly no longer an African, and nobody that thinks themselves white can prove they're white."
Mm-hmm.
Well, nobody white says I am from Caucasia. First off, like that's going to be my new best thing from ever here on out. Is I'm just going to start asking white people, so you're Caucasian? You would call yourself Caucasian? Are you from where is known as Caucasia?
Exactly.
Right. What city of Caucasia are you from?
Yes.
Thank you, Leah, for giving me clap back.
Yeah. Well, that's a very, very good angle. Caucasia. So this anthropologist, German anthropologist, his name was Blumenbach, 18th, 19th century. He was traveling there and digging, what anthropologists do. And in country of Georgia, region of Caucasia, he found these skulls. And he called it, from now on, I'm going to call this race Caucasian race. So he called it Caucasian race, and he divided he was one of the scientists who divided humans all over the earth into races. So, but later Europe rejected it. They said it's no good, especially after Nazi Germany. Europe was trying to be really good and rejected this theory. But America adopted it and started using a term Caucasian because, they needed it to, I guess, lots of people moving to the United States from all over the world, so they needed to divide them into races. I don't know exactly how it went down, but we had no idea. So imagine people from Caucasia when we come here and all of a sudden we hear it's a race. Like, what? We are a race all of a sudden, and then we have to dig out the history, and that's how I found it. I'm even doing stand-up on this. I'm going to do it. It's so shocking for us to find out that all of a sudden, white race is called Caucasian race. We had no idea. Very strange. So yes, but my point is that people have a need to discriminate each other, and they discriminate each other everywhere in every country. Their neighbors, their own people, and often by the skin color. So why do we have this need? It's just
if you know who's underneath you, you know you're not on the bottom, right? So when a new person comes to America, they could be a slum dog millionaire, right, out of India, who hit the lotto, whatever that means, and got here, right? And if you get here, no matter where you're from, you're above Negroes, above the people they call black here, right? So Michael asked me the other day, what's the deal with the Asians and blacks? And I'm like, well, black people are mad at the people who are, being capitalists over them in their own area, right? So if black people had some generational wealth, they'd own those stores and they would hate Mr. Johnson rather than Mr. Lee, for lack of a better last name. Does that make sense?
Yes, well, Travis, you often say that you feel like people from abroad, immigrants and even black immigrants are treated better than native local black people in the
Well, how
United
about this? Do the police shoot the descendants of slaves as fodder in America, or that the officer pulls over somebody and their name is, and they know if they shoot that person, there can be some extra paperwork, some international documents they got to fill out.
This motherfucker's clucking like a chicken.
Right. If they know if they kill or shoot Tyrone Jackson, okay, and the police usually just shoot. They shoot you in the ass, shoot you in the whatever. But if they don't kill you, then they're taking a chance on being sued and having a witness on the stand saying what they did. So now they gotta shoot you for, like Bruce Springsteen said about Amadou Diallo, 40 wound shows. 40 wound shows.
Well, if you remember the case of Abner Lalima in New York, where the police went over and beyond, they sodomized and raped this man. The cops did this.
The broomstick in the ass. Right?
Yes.
The broomstick in his ass. I remember that.
Yes.
And I thought to myself,
And the story was looking at this is a Haitian immigrant that this happened to. And they kept talking about him being an immigrant. It's the same thing with Amadou Diallo. Look at him being an immigrant versus him being a black man.
Right, they made a mistake. They made a mistake, right? They thought, right?
Yep, and then they paid him and his family, like they did with the Diallo family, Amadou Diallo's family. And they quick to do that when that comes up. But when it is somebody like Eric Gardner or Michael Ferguson or what have you, even go back to Yusuf Hawkins, that last name Hawkins, we didn't do nothing wrong.
Trayvon Martin.
Yep.
Trayvon Martin. It's the same thing, right? So it's really the reporters in the news, they know who to categorize how, right? So they know that okay, so you can talk about a black young male or female a certain way, but you better not do that to a random immigrant, because that immigrant might have generational wealth.
Or could be like this, from the family of the ambassador, and you can cause some kind of international scandal or something like that, because about the foreigners, you never know who they are. And I have used that for my advantage when I've gotten pulled over in the past. So,
Leah,
yes.
Leah, would you just say in your thickest accent, do you know who my daddy is?
No, but it's just like
no, denied.
I love that shit, Leah. You go.
They get confused, and then my skin color also helps, because most of you know me, but it's pretty light. So if you're a foreigner, you're not these days. These days you never know. These days it's crazy, especially during the Trump. I was like, what's happening? I always felt safe in this country until, like, should I start feeling unsafe now? That was nasty. But yes, like I understand what you are saying very well, Travis, that foreigners have an advantage in a way.
Well, what I'm saying is, no matter who you are, you ain't. No matter who you are, you ain't gonna be white enough sometimes, right? So
yes, that was my point. My second point.
Yes.
Because look at this. So we were discriminated by our northern neighbors, Russians, because they're whiter, like mostly blonde, blue eyes. And then next to Russia, there is a country that's called Belarus or Belarusia. How do you say it in English, Belarusia? Which in translation to English means white Russia. White Russia. So I was like always curious, like there is Russia, they're pretty white. Why is there necessity for white Russia? So apparently I Googled it again, and apparently they think that Belarusia was never conquered by darker tribes like Mongolians, which Russia was conquered by Mongolians. So their blood is even purer and they're even whiter. So there's like a big train of discrimination, of of the shades of white. Anyways, and it's all over the place. It's very primitive, very strange. There is a need for that for some odd reason.
It's what we live under. We live under some kind of weird Eastern Asia. And when I say Eastern Asia, isn't Europe really Eastern Asia?
No.
Europe? Well, Europe is which Europe? Where I came from, it's Eastern Asia, and no, it's Western Asia and Eastern Europe, because it's on the border. of Europe and Asia. So we're kind of both. But when Asia, people think like China or Japan, like it's a huge continent and it's called Eurasia, and there are lots of countries and lots of nations and lots of tribes. So, which Eastern Asia are you talking about?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I really meant Western Asia when I said that the first time. But
yeah, Europe is Western Asia, and Asia is Eastern Europe, in a way.
Yeah, and we're all on Earth, and we're all a bunch of Earthlings. And if somebody came from somewhere else, they're not going to be differentiating between, Filipinos and Portlandia if we taste good to them.
Who else is here? I hear someone else's voice.
That's Sean, Leah, Lydia, and Carmela are all here right now.
Oh, hi,
everybody.
Sean.
Good day.
Good day.
Sean is in Milwaukee, right?
Right. That is me. That is I.
How is it over there?
It's another day in the hood.
Was it snowing recently?
No, man. It's like springtime, gunshot time.
Uh-oh.
Every night. Every
Really?
night. Dude, every night. Like I said, the only thing that ever stopped the riots from going here was the cold. I mean, they killed dudes just like you're seeing all over. Except here, they didn't give him a trial. And they hired the guy who killed the black kid, the black cop that killed the black kid in Wauwatosa that caused the riots and all this shit, got hired by Waukesha. Even further, it's like you moving 15 minutes further from where you were at, but still, you got a job being a cop.
A lot of people said that Milwaukee, Wisconsin is the south of the north.
South of the north. Okay. So it sounds like a terrible place, the way you're describing.
Man, it's just another place in the world. It ain't Somalia. It ain't Myanmar. It ain't Russia. The white people you're talking about. What the fuck? You want to live in Belarus? You want to live in Belarus where you don't have water 15 minutes out of your main population? 30 minutes away, you're in another third world country in most of those places? 30 minutes away from the downtown of a city, you are in the third world. Okay? Here in America, 30 minutes away from the city where you live, you're in a fucking better city.
Well, it is very interesting what you are saying, because for us, for foreigners, and I mean, it depends which country are we talking about, and for immigrants, America is the best place in the world. But for people
all depends
here,
on who you were born to. All depends on who you were born to. What's the best place in the world? You want to be the best place in the world? Be born as a son to some Saudi prince. Lord have mercy. These motherfuckers got so much money, it's unreal.
That place sucks. Women just started driving there like last year.
Right? Hey, that's what I said. Be born a male prince. I didn't say female in a Saudi Arabia or any Muslim country. You're fucked. What the heck? Lucky to be here in America. Burn your bras from the 70s. Woo, burn your bras from the 70s. That's our time frame here. Try burning your bra in Myanmar. They'd have shoot you in the streets with your 3 fingers held up, the Virgin style or whatever the fuck movie that was. You know?
They might shoot you as soon as they see your ankle. What were you singing, Lydia?
It's a reference to American Dad, which is don't come to Saudi Arabia if you have a labia. Because it's just a bad idea. But on that same note, going to Belarus is also a bad idea, right? Because I keep wanting to go tour a bunch of different like concentration camp sites and shit. And well, I'm surprised there's been concentration camps all over Northern Europe, all up into the Soviet Union, of lots of different types of political takeovers and whatnot. So I looked into Belarus and I was like, I'll get sold as like a midget novelty there. I'm good.
But the interesting thing is that,
and I don't even know a motherfucker that I would trust enough to go with me to be like the chaperone males. It's like, yes, I'm the white man that owns this midget. No, you cannot.
Don't fuck with the little chick or I'll kick your ass type motherfuckers.
No, more
you need
just
your
like
own
the
crew.
dude that could not be offered enough money to actually sell my little ass. You know, like
that's a
novelty,
thing.
man. Novelty.
Even a slick motherfucker offered $100 million might sell you. I'm sorry. You might even consider, man.
I don't know
let's
a dude good enough who wouldn't sell me at some point. So my travel plans to Belarus, they changed. They changed a little bit.
No, Belarus actually is an awesome country. The nicest people I've met, and you will have no problem.
Probably.
I have worked with
She's
them.
probably right. It's a big stereotype about what the hell's going on there.
Yes.
She said so.
Yes. Anywhere you travel in those countries, you're going to have the best. Actually, in Russia, Americans are untouchable, and you're going to have the best time, and they're going to be the best hosts because, you know, they want the world to think well about them. And there's nothing really horrifying going on right now except the problems that whatever problems we have here, which is not everyone has health care, not, you know, socioeconomic problems. But for travel, those are great countries. And there are many Americans and people from all over the world, they travel and they have the best time. So don't be scared.
Come with me, Leah. Come with me.
I will.
Okay.
I will. The whole group, we can go there and do podcasts from there.
Okay.
The whitest places in the world.
Right. White Russia.
From the White Russian stronghold.
The White Russia. Yes, but the interesting thing is the people are very nice. They're not racist at all. I just brought it up because I was doing research for my comedy and they're like, what is Russia? Why Russia? And this came up. We don't know who came up with the name. People are wonderful and one of the friendliest people I have ever met. Happy people. But they do have a dictatorship, but it's a quiet dictatorship. Like,
I'm sorry.
That's important.
A crazy put together of a quiet dictatorship.
Quiet. No one is really killing anyone. Country is going okay, and neighbor countries they're doing well. Yeah. Lukashenko is there. And but last year they had like riots and well, during the pandemic, you know, actually George Floyd started it. And well, he is going to be a huge figure in the world history because it started from George Floyd and then it went to all the countries and then they started writing about their own shit. So they were started in Belarusia, and they started like catching people and kicking their ass and beating them up and taking them to jail. And then they quiet them down and nothing changed.
Leah?
So for a minute it was not a quiet dictatorship, but before it was quiet always.
The way you put that, though, they quiet them down. Well, it's kind of sad for the people who got their faces badged in and all the way to prison.
Very sad.
You're
quiet.
Very sad. You're quiet now. You know, you're not on the world scene. We're not watching you every day getting shot in Miramar. But still, for the people who are getting dragged away when you do see it, the only reason you're not seeing it is because Russia is one step of jumping over any of those people's borders, and they have no problems. They go, China, right? Recently, yeah, you with us? Yeah, you're with us, man. Fuck America. China just recently goes, how you doing in America in Alaska, and calls them out on the table going, you ain't shit. Then the next little like world politic thing somewhere in Dubai, Qatar, wherever, where China literally doesn't even acknowledge Taiwan in the open world leader, people step up, send someone to a little place of lots of them come getting together. They don't even acknowledge them. They go, Taiwan, you're like Puerto Rico to America. Don't talk shit. If we come there with our armies, what are you gonna do? There's some crazy shit going on in the world, and There's bad shit happening here with black dudes getting murdered by police officers and everything in small amounts, and crazy people with guns killing you at the fucking markets or whatever. But when you look at places like Kabul and these cities that are just leveled to the ground from wars of centuries, like, damn, dude, I'll take 50 rolls of toilet paper here in America, man. If all I gotta do is deal with a couple crazy cops with guns.
Yeah, even in Milwaukee, right?
Anywhere, man. At least here in Milwaukee, I know the motherfuckers when they're coming because there's sirens everywhere.
Right.
Gunshots echo.
Right. We talk about the horror of being the random person shot at the Asian massage parlor or at a grocery store or at a McDonald's or at a post office or any of that, right? The random person shot. But imagine being one of, X amount of thousand that all got dropped a bomb on their ass at the same time.
Or I live in Syria and then my people are getting bombed with gas and people are bombing me from Russia and all over in Turkey and they're all bombing our place. So what do? You got to run to some other country, Jordan or wherever, and you're hiding in the bushes, living in these little fake ass UN camps or whatever. And then recently, wherever, I don't know, somewhere, me and my people run away to some place and it all burns to the ground. How bad is that, dude? Your ass done ran away from people shooting at you, want to kill you, literally wipe everything about you off the face of the earth, and then your shit burns the fuck up too. Man, if you got the Jesus Christ thing going today, you need to get on your knees and pray, because where's God? Come on, y'all.
Right. Somebody decided to push a button and let white phosphorus, fall from the sky and just burn.
Kinds of crazy shit, man. It's just a crazy place. But you living in one side of the world where it's Hawaiian beaches and lays and coconuts on the ground, or you living in Belarus with your, no having Starbucks
not
place.
So bad.
Right? Hey, there ain't 20 Starbucks on every corner. You go to freaking Chicago. Even in Chicago, there's 20 Starbucks within walking distance where you could run out of coffee.
20?
Don't they really
would
high
like to chime in.
What'd you say, Lydia?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to chime in for a second, though. The problem with us trying to put ourselves as American citizens on a bar with many of these other countries is that it's not from the same start point or perspective. When you are looking at the fall of civilized societies, when you are looking at societies that had gained or amassed huge amounts of wealth, and then to see that economic power be challenged, historically, there is a long process to the demise of that culture before it reaches this third world expectation that we have as Americans. And one of the greatest lies that we make, both against violence, like specifically gun violence and specifically violence against women, is that it is worse elsewhere. Just because it is worse elsewhere does not mean that we are not living in a violent society or that we are not living in a rape culture society. There can be worse, but we still have to be answerable and address the issues that are happening right now, because what's very unclear from a historical standpoint is how it all falls and where that leverage point really is in the society that causes a free fall from what we like to think of as civilized society that has healthy, happy people to people having to run from bombs, violence, war, famine, and geopolitical boundaries that suddenly become shifted or are bought out. We're doing those things in America, but they're happening on a capitalistic scale that is almost unrecognizable in action. But we were talking earlier about immigrants owning things. We have huge amounts of property in America that is owned by Chinese banks. There is huge shifts of wealth that have happened in America over the past 25 years that will probably take the next 25 years to fully implicate in behavior amongst people. So these other cities where poverty, inner cities where poverty is already an issue, people aren't saying that there's an uptake, they're saying this is general life. Like you just said, like it's now it's warm again, so people are out. The same problems that we've been faced with, we're still facing on the regular, and they are getting more intense, but we're just not at a free fall rate where we can say, oh, we're as bad as Syria. We're obviously not as bad as Syria.
Right.
But,
just because we aren't water world doesn't mean if you live in Flint, you're going to be able to walk and get some water in 5 minutes, right? Flint, how far do you got to go to get water, right? If you got to go any distance to get water, your shit's pretty bad, right? If it just didn't turn into Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome instantaneously, but if you're in an area where people are making up all kinds of reasons for why the closest grocery store to you is closed, and it's happening in white areas, and they have all kind of reasons for it happening. But that has happened in black areas in America and in areas around the world with no grocery store for decades, right? In America, they call it now. They use a term. Their educational talk labels. They call it a food desert.
Terrible, terrible, terrible.
Oh
Actually,
shit!
I'll give you an example. I'll give you examples. There's plenty of them. Like just where I am, the corridor, that main corridor near where I live, it's still deemed a food desert. But now it's being highly gentrified because people are losing their homes with the foreclosure, or they just leave and the houses are abandoned, and then white people coming up and buying the property for $80,000 and flipping it and selling it for $500,000. So this is what's happening. And what I find really interesting is because my neighborhood in particular is relatively mixed. The more west you go, the more black and brown it becomes. But we got a lot of stores that are black owned, that are Asian owned. And as the white people come in, they don't want to shop there. They're asking for the major corporations to come in. How come there's not a major grocery store? How come there's not an Aldi's? How come there's not a Trader Joe's? How come there's not a Sprouts? What have you? So they push for it because they can run through a city council and get what they want. So now, in the next 3 years, on one major street, there's going to be an Aldi's, Trader Joe's. There's already a Sprouts. There's going to be a Giant, which is a major supermarket chain, and then we have Acme, which is another supermarket chain. All on one street, all within 2 miles of each other.
Damn.
But they will not go to the Asian grocery store. Somebody came by the other day, came by my shop, and there's something I didn't have. And I said, well, you can go up a half a block and go to the Indonesian market because I know she's got it over there. I literally watched the man go down the street and walk right past her shop.
Oh, Carmela, I have a question. Why do you think that is? Why would not someone want to go?
They're racist. Like they don't want to give that money right in the neighborhood. They don't want to give that money to somebody that's not like them.
So then think about the black persons how far they gotta walk in order to give the money to somebody who looks like them. They would just be walking and walking and walking and walking.
I can't walk around in America by being black.
Well, we should just start.
You might get killed before you get to the first store.
Yeah.
That's true.
Wow, this is very interesting because I feel like where we are, it's much more integrated. The Asian, black and white communities are more integrated in the cultures than what you are describing, Carmela. What do you say?
Well, I mean,
Lydia,
it's not that they're not. So where my neighborhood is where I'm at right now. I say where my store is located, there's a lot of old school Italians. There's a lot of Indonesian and Vietnamese folks. But there's also these millennial white people that are coming in. So, as some homes have been foreclosed on, and I said some homes have been abandoned, they snatching them up or they're going through some flipper to get this house, and some people are willing to pay $500,000 for these homes, and they're buying them up, but they're not respecting like the community at large. It's about they don't like something in the neighborhood, so they're gonna cry, scream, and yell till they get their way. Like, for instance, there's a running thing in the neighborhood Facebook group is that anytime you hear a pop, they automatically think it's guns. 4th of July, I cannot tell you how many people called the cops in my neighborhood because they swore there was some mass shooting happening over here.
Wow.
And it was just people setting off fireworks. They don't know, they can't tell you between a firework and a gun because they didn't grow up with it. But they hear a pop or a tire blows out, they're calling the cops. Then they're going on Facebook. Did anybody hear that sound? Did anybody hear that sound? You already done called the cops.
Oh my.
This happens on a regular basis. They move into neighborhoods and they want to take them over. They don't respect the people that have had a few generations living there. They definitely don't support the businesses in town unless it's some shishi coffee shop. You know, and
you're going to have to unpack that one, Carmela. What is a shishi coffee shop?
You know, like take your Starbucks, the fancy coffee place. They got their brick wall. Now I can't front. I got a brick wall in my spot too, but brick wall. They got the top of the line espresso machine. They got somebody on staff doing the coffee foam art. And these people are willing to spend $8 on a black cup of coffee because somebody told them that it came from some mountain and who knows where somebody handpicked the coffee beans and cherries and did whatever and roasted
hey Carmela, and she had a corn on her pinky toe when she was stumping the beans or whatever they do to the beans.
Yes. They need the whole story. You gotta tell them the whole story, and they paying for it. Here's my $8 for the 10-ounce cup of hot coffee that some lady painstakingly picked the coffee cherries and roasted them in a Jiffy Pop like pan. But this is what it is, and I can't remember because some people have become friendly with own coffee shops like this. But this is the stuff that they're like,
hey Carmela,
this is what these people want.
Carmela, and they have Black Lives Matter books in the shelves and in the windows in February.
Yes, and then they take them down before 11:59 p.m. on February 28th, and if it's a leap year, it's February 29th. They just pull them down.
Speaking of that, here's a new topic for you guys. Did you know? Okay, did you know? I had no idea. Okay, until a couple of days ago. Do you know what April is? So March was Women's History Month, and February is Black History Month, and January everybody just gets over the holidays, right? You gotta rest, right? You got Martin Luther King. But I saw on Instagram that April is Confederate History Month.
What?
I thought you were going to say it was Black Women's History Month because that's what some people have been saying, and also Black Women's Fitness Month. But here you go with Confederate Month. I'm about to throw my phone.
Month. Oh shit!
So what I'm saying to you is, I say
what is Black Woman Fitness Month? Forget it. We got to go there.
Is who Fitness Women's Month? Yeah.
She said Black Women's Fitness Month. What is this?
Listen. There is a whole campaign to make April called like Black Women's Fitness and Health Month. There is. And then there's another one that says Black Women History Month. And so when you said Confederate Month, I'm going to throw my phone because I'm hearing so many different things. Everybody's got to make a month something.
Well, I gotta say,
right.
hey, you know what? I'm gonna have to side this time with the Confederate folks for the first time ever, and I'm saying Black Women's Fitness. Maybe y'all should get the first week of February or the first week of January, after the holidays, or even like the week after Thanksgiving or Indigenous Peoples Weekend.
Black Women's Kick a Confederate's Ass Month.
There you go.
There you go.
Do you know what? Also, I'm going to request Black Caucasian Month.
What is that? Yin yang
That
ding
won't
dang.
go over well here, Leah. That will not.
You know what? That silence was perfect. That
Caucasian,
silence would not be edited out. That silence, when she said Black Caucasian, that silence was so perfect. Y'all have no idea. I'm sitting there rolling inside, just not wanting to laugh out loud because of how funny that silence was to me. Okay.
Silence that equals 1,000 words.
Yes.
No. Travis, there's also another important day today. This is Martin Luther King Jr. Assassination Day, April 4th.
Yes. In the song by U2, what's the name of the song?
Pride.
Pride, right? Pride. The song's called Pride, and it's in the name of love, and and he actually says April 4th, right? A shot rang out in the Memphis sky, something like that. I actually saw U2 in Seattle at the Seattle Arena one year. What's crazy about it is Jason Stewart.
What year?
Their stage show was really red fluorescent lights. That's how I can.
The big wall.
I don't know, but it was great. He did Pride. They did Pride at the end. It was I forgot which tour it was. It was probably 2003 or so, maybe 2000. Yeah, maybe 2003. But as I walked into the place, I run into Jason Stewart, who is a member of the humor group and a comedian in Seattle, Tacoma, for like the last 20 years, and he had just run into U2. I just missed him. Right, so I thought that was pretty cool. And Jason Stewart, by the way, just for Jason Stewart, he does tours and stuff with Michael Winslow from Police Academy. Silence. That silence was also warranted, because what does that have to do with anything? All right. So. Who is this name dropping motherfucker? People we don't even know. Sorry for that was the first motherfucker. I'm sorry. There's a
well, you've been quoting lots of white music today.
U2. If you ask me, I think that.
And you sang Bruce Springsteen before, which is very funny and very cool.
Well, hey, look here, Bruce Springsteen and Bono and U2, just in their charity work. And they're using their celebrity status and platform to acknowledge all kinds of things across the world. That makes them Black. Okay, meaning anti-establishment. Okay, meaning if they. So one of the things I was going to say to you guys when we're talking about where it's worse in the world and all that kind of stuff. And look, yes, we can always play the worst game because there's somebody dealing with worse day-to-day problems than we have, and
for sure,
with a worse regular situation, right?
Doing a lot better too.
Right, somebody's doing a lot better, but there could be people who appear to be doing a lot better, but they had their clip cut off, right? You know what I'm saying?
Please cut off. Oh, okay. That would suck, I guess.
Two bags of nuts.
You get? You fucking guess? You know that shit would suck. Come on, girl.
We give you 2 bags of vegan nut cheese to
I'm
go.
sorry, I'm not that informed. They do it in some countries, like when you are a baby, right? I mean, just like circumcision. It's
Are
both
you
bad,
saying if you don't know
bad
what you're
things.
It makes female
Those are
orgasm
bad.
impossible, girl. It makes female orgasm impossible.
Really, I did not know about this. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, that shit right there, like, I'm so sorry. That's just so fucking, like, that's fucked up right there.
Muslims.
This is terrible. Well, but okay, like we said
Muslims.
that there's no point to compare our country to the other countries. We still need our standards of, I don't know, the society's morals and the economics and everyday life. But what we were talking earlier about, like, if lives matter at all. So, like right now, somewhere people are dying, but we don't care that much. That means lives don't matter. Lives matter only here, around us. So
Very
that's
true.
just like, in a way, it's a nonsense.
Well, it also lives don't matter until you can forget about everybody else's lives while you're coming. And if you ain't got no clit, you can't come.
Wow. What a wisdom, Travis. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, think about it.
Put a blanket over your head when you're out in public.
But let me tell you, do you know that there's a huge percentage of women that have clits, but they still can't come?
I know.
You know
I
what?
know. And that is a great episode for our upcoming Twat Talk Tuesday. Do you come or do you think you come?
Or you know that you don't come.
You know, at one time I was in the car with my father and listening to smooth jazz, and Nora
I hope
Jones.
it's not a coming story.
It is, and Nora
With your
Jones,
father.
and Nora Jones, and Nora Jones came on the radio, and my father changed the station, and I said, "Dad, you don't like Nora Jones?" And he said, "Her songs are too sad." And I thought about it for a second. I thought about it. The song that was going, it was "Don't Know Why I Didn't Come," and I thought, what could be sadder than that? Not only did you not come, but you ain't got a clue.
That's pretty sad, but I'm sure there are worse. Oh, yeah, but a good topic,
This is your fault for listening with the Tuesday Twat Talk preview.
I mean, like personal tragedies and then national tragedies and international tragedies. I mean, you know, sometimes personal is much bigger and covers everything.
But how about this? How about general tragedy or horror, right? How about just knowing you can't go to the hospital? Just knowing you can't go get help when you're sick. Just knowing there's no place to go. That is horrific.
It is horrific. Terrible. Even worse than having no insurance because, I mean, you are stuck with a huge bill, but you still got saved.
Right. Somebody set your leg. You're not going to walk with a limp forever for no reason because somebody had proper medical training to fix what ailed you, you know, or you were able to get a hold of at least something that could ease the pain or ease your mind or get or rid yourself the symptoms or effects while your body healed itself. Next topic.
So earlier I was, someone is receiving messages.
Yeah.
So I talked to my friend earlier. She's from my country, Georgia, but not the one you're mind, the one in Caucasia. She's Caucasian as well, Black Caucasian. So I was talking to her about this Asian hate situation, and then she said that, well, for us, the way we feel immigrants, and I agreed, we feel America also has lots of love, and we feel it all the time, like on a personal level, because I have almost never been discriminated here, and I have you, my friends, and lots of other friends, and I always feel loved. So in a way, it's a great place. And so somehow, if we can concentrate on this and positive, and give it to each other, Asian or black or white or like Caucasian or whatever, somehow, because I think this division is coming from somewhere else, and it's brainwashing people. Of course, we have racists and bigots, but it's not only it. It's just the media and everything, and the politics and everything, and just like driving people crazy and brainwashing them and making them hate. Otherwise, people don't hate when they're happy, do they?
You're saying that people are taught to hate, right? So if you allow yourself to be taught to hate, or if you don't realize that you've been taught who you should hate for whatever reason before you, and you don't investigate, you just go along with who they tell you to hate, you can get stuck in a lot of mental spider webs, right? So
you're stuck in North Korea. That's where you're stuck.
Right, but like a new immigrant.
Yeah, but we're also stuck in our minds, and we're controlled every day by like media, news, social media, this, that, right, Sean?
Correct.
It's not only North Korea. We have North Korea in our own brains, right? Sometimes.
But in those places, they can get turned off. In places like Myanmar, and even, I don't know, all kinds of old Yugoslavian Eastern Bloc countries where you would come
Oh
from.
yeah,
And,
of course. Yeah, yeah.
you know, it's just when you get to a place like in London where every corner is Wi-Fi'd out with a camera in the world, and then you go to like New York's now where there's cameras everywhere. It's a different world out there compared to other places in the world. America can be pretty safe, even for women that are getting chased down the streets by weird dudes.
Well,
Weird shit happens.
think about a woman in a country that has to wear a beekeeper's outfit because men are taught to hate seeing a woman's shape. You know, if somebody sees your ankle, they might just start stoning your ass. I mean, is that fake?
That's Muslims. That's Muslim faith.
But
That's not Christian faith. Today's Christian day. Jesus Day.
You're right. Today is Easter.
It's Jesus Day.
It's Jesus.
Didn't they make you do weird shit at Walther? They made you do weird shit there, remember?
Yeah, I still think the funniest thing said about Easter was by Dick Gregory or Red Fox. Red Fox said, "If you let yourself get nailed to death and then you come back 3 days later, I don't owe you shit." And Dick Gregory said, he said, "I don't understand how you can be killed in 2 different months." Like sometimes Easter's in March. You know? Yes.
And our Easter is in the month, Easter Orthodox Christian. We have a different calendar, but we believe, I mean, not me personally, but in one Jesus. So how come these holidays are different?
Well, this is the problem. People who believe in the Bible, you can't start at Jesus. Okay, so
that's a good question.
That's a very good question. So now you got 3 months. Jesus is now killed in 3 different months. That really doesn't make any sense. Okay, but what it should show is the distance between an Orthodox Christian and this Americanized version of a white guy named Jesus and friends with Peter and Thomas and Todd and Tucker. You know what I mean? And so when you see that, then you got to start trying to figure out, well, how do the people in America call themselves being, Bible thumpers, Bible belt, Bible lovers, love Jesus? I'm talking about the white and black people in America when there are no white, black, or Chinese people in the Bible.
Right.
Ridiculous.
It is. But it shows, like Ingersoll said, if somebody teaches you something, it's true. If they teach you that it is true, and all the way true, and if you don't believe it, is you're going to die and go to a place where people are going to be burning you with fire and poking you with sticks forever, right? And they tell you that before you can read it for yourself, and then they use your love and interest as a child of animals. They give you the Noah's Ark story, right? And then
and you just hear George Carlin going, "But he forgives you. He loves you."
Oh yes, right. Yeah, George Carlin would say he's the creator of the world. He created everything, but it's just not. Yeah, he created the world. He's you a place where you're gonna die if you don't do whatever he says. And this place is gonna have fire and burning. You're gonna burn forever. But he loves you, and he needs money. He's the creator of the universe. He just really can't handle cash. Okay. But if you don't hear George Carlin explain that to you, as an adult, you can still be stuck. But if you heard George Carlin say that as an adult who was taught that anybody that says anything against the Bible is a devil worshiper, you would just think George Carlin is a devil worshiper, rather than really, researching for yourself. Right? If you really believe, you won't research, right? And
you won't.
You won't.
No, I stopped arguing with my religious friends a while ago. Before, I used to have a horrible habit. I was trying to prove to them that they're wrong, which doesn't make any sense. And especially Muslim friends would make me angry. For example, in New York City, I had a coworker, like 24-year-old man, who married like 21-year-old girl. And he was working and going to the university, but he kept this girl in a New York City apartment, 1-bedroom apartment, 24/7. She can only go outside with him, but he was an educated man going to NYU. So I constantly would argue with him. Why are you doing this? No, and he was very religious, very educated, but very religious. And in the end, he would tell me, Leah, you are not going to understand it because you are not a believer. This is a matter of belief. And that's when I learned that, like, reasoning and science, you can't talk against when you're debating with the religious people, because they say you don't believe, so you don't understand. Yeah, so I was like, okay, we're not going to understand each other ever. Well, and I dropped arguing.
Well, American Christians will say, I got faith, right? Well, Mark Twain said, faith is believing in something you know ain't so. Period.
You know ain't so. It's exactly the same thing. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
And so really, what that guy, the guy that kept his wife in the house, he just did a different type of whole math, right? So in order for him to not have to throw acid in her face because she talked to some other dude, he just kept her ass in the house.
Yes, possibly. But well, also another point. This is how I started arguing, or stopped arguing or debating, because it does not make any sense. But also, there are lots of good people that are believers, and they keep believing it. It makes them feel good. So I just don't want to be in constant confrontation with my friends that are good people and they're believers. So that's one of the reasons why I stopped.
Well, the first 100 episodes.
People used to get upset at me constantly when I was just start my atheist shit. So I was like, okay.
I'm with you on that, and you're right. On the first 100 or so episodes of Funny to the Moon, I really thought that religion was the main problem. Then I thought it was politics. Then I realized it was capitalism. but because we realized that religion and politics were kind of the same thing, right? It was still a person on a podium telling you who to hate, right? And
get paid.
and to watch those people
Osteen.
and
Joel
what they might
Osteen.
do to you, and not the politicians and the religious persons, leaders who rob your minds and your pockets, right? And so, but they're just doing that because they're inside capitalism, right?
Well, but politicians, they suck in every country, even if they're not capitalists. I think it's more like power thing.
Right? So, lots of things are power, right? Dick Gregory
Power and control
yeah.
and money, because when you have power, you have everything. So you are the shit. You rule the world.
Dick Gregory
Putin.
said this.
I run Russia.
Dick Gregory said some people think that money is power. He said, no, information is power. And if you got bad information, you got bad power. I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, information is power, right? So the people who know which stock is going to go up, that's power and money, right? The people who know what
yeah, but there's levels to it. Like, there's lots of information available on the internet right now, pretty much anything, but you have to also know how to process information. And there is like the information given bad, good. You have to like figure out and process it, right?
Definitely. It's very different. It is and the horrific part of it is everybody has to sift through the information themselves or through trusted sources, right? And even that you got to sift through, right? So when we looked at the Asian massage parlor murders, right? We saw how the information came out on that, and how they depict the victims of the crime, and how they depict them as Asian lives, right? They didn't depict them as massage worker lives or sex worker lives, right? And how the sheriff guy described the murderer as having a bad day rather than being a monster on tilt. You know what I mean? That's saying how he had a bad day is saying you are identifying with the shooter. All right, we run this into the ground. Everybody's tired. Let's close it up.
It's Sunday, so
Sunday. Get some rest, y'all. Thank you. Everybody.
So when is the next meeting? Is it Tuesday? Next podcast?
Tuesday. Unless something pops up in the news, then we want to fire it that way. Have a great day.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Right, thanks. Later, everybody.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye.